The White House will implicate certain very powerful members of Congress in their own criminal activity. And so when the White House gets in trouble for it, the Congress has to run cover for the White House. And so what happened was Congress passed an emergency law in 2007 called the Protect America Act, which should have been our first indication this is a very bad thing, because they never name a law something like that unless it's something terrible. And what it did was it retroactively immunized all of the phone companies in the United States that had been breaking the law millions of times a day by handing your records over to the government, which they weren't allowed to do, simply on the basis of a letter from the president saying, please do this. And these companies went, look, now that we've been uncovered, now that we've been shown that we're breaking, or now that these journalists have shown that we've broken the law and violated the rights of Americans on a staggering scale that could bankrupt our companies because we can be sued for this, we will no longer cooperate with you unless you pass a law that says people can't sue us. And so then they go, it's an emergency law, we have to pass this now, we have to keep this program active. Bush is going to end the warrantless wiretapping program and continue it under this new authority where it's going to have some special level of oversight and these kind of things eventually. But for now, we just have to make sure people are safe. Again, they go to fear. They say, if we don't have this program, terrorist attacks will continue, people will die. Blood on your hands, blood on your hands, blood on your hands, think of the children. Protect America Act passes. The companies get off the hook. The Bush White House gets off the hook. The Congress, that was then sharing in criminal culpability for authorizing, or rather letting these things go by without stopping them, then passes in 2008 the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, amendments of 2008. This is called the FAA, FISA Amendments Act of 2008. And rather than stopping all of the unlawful and sort of unconstitutional activities that the intelligence agency was doing.
You can search the web with real and organic search results and do it without anyone tracking your activity or data. We ourselves use Atlas VPN to protect our data online. Atlas VPN is more than just any other VPN. It blocks all malicious links, ads and trackers and notifies you when someone is trying to spy on or steal your data. If you want to grab Atlas VPN, they have a great deal going on right now for just $1.70 a month and 6 months extra for free. We've provided a link in the description you can use to grab this deal. Try it out with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Not only does it protect your data, it also keeps your searches completely private. Also, protect unlimited devices at once. No limits are set. One subscription only for the best price. That's why we use Atlas. Oh, did we forget to mention it saves you a lot of money booking online? It's that easy. Grab Atlas VPN using the link in the description and secure your data today.
They continued it in different ways simply by creating a few legal hoops for them to jump through. Now, this is not to go say, these things aren't helpful at all. It's not to say they're not useful at all. But it's important to understand when the government's response to any scandal, and this applies to any country, is not to make the activities of the person who is caught breaking the law comply with the law, but instead make the activities of the person who is breaking the law legal, right? They make the law comply with what the agencies want to do, rather than make the agencies comply with the law. That's a problem, and that's what happened here. Now, the intelligence community's powers actually grew in response to this scandal in 2008 because Congress was on the hook and they just wanted to move on and get this over with. There were objections. There were people who knew this was a bad idea, but it passed on. Now, what the public took away from this, because a part of these laws was a requirement that the Inspector General of all of these different intelligence community elements and the Director of National Intelligence submit a report saying this is what happened under that warrantless wiretapping program. This is how it complied with the law or how it didn't comply with the law, and basically look back at how this program was constituted, what it did, what the impacts and effects were, and that was supposed to be sort of the Truth and Reconciliation Council, right? Now, why am I talking about all this ancient history? Well, I'm sitting here in 2012 with a classified Inspector General's report, draft report from the NSA that names names, that says Dick Cheney, that says David Addington, that says Nancy Pelosi, that says all these people who are involved in the program, the tick-tock of how it happens. It says the director of the NSA, that guy who was evacuating the building at the beginning of our podcast here, that guy was asked by the President of the United States if he would continue this program after being told by the White House and the Department of Justice that these programs were not lawful, that they were not constitutional. And the President said, would you continue this program on my say-so alone, knowing that it's risky, knowing that it's unlawful? And he said, yes, sir, I will, if you think that's what's necessary to keep the country safe. And at that moment, I realized these guys don't care about the law. These guys don't care about the Constitution. These guys don't care about the American people. They care about the continuity of government. They care about the state, right? And this is something that people have lost. We hear this phrase over and over again, national security, national security, national security, and we're meant to interpret that to mean public safety. But national security is a very different thing from public safety. National security is a thing that in previous generations we referred to as state security. National security was a kind of term that came out of the Bush administration to run cover for the fact that we were elevating a new kind of secret police across the country. And what does it mean when, again, in a democracy, in the United States, the public is not partner to government? The public does not hold the leash of government anymore, but we are subject to government, right? We are subordinate to government. And we're not even allowed to know that it happened. Now, in the book, I tell the fact that I had access to the unclassified version of this report back in Japan. And what's interesting is the unclassified version of a report, and we've all seen this today with things like the Mueller report and all of the intelligence reporting that's happened in the last several years. When the government provides a classified report to the public, it's normally the same document. The unclassified version, the classified version are the same thing. It's just the unclassified version has things blacked out or redacted, that they say, oh, you're not allowed to know this sentence or this paragraph or this page or whatever. The document that the public had been given about the warrantless wiretapping program was a completely different document. It was a document tailor-made to deceive and mislead the Congress and the public of the United States. And it was effective in doing that. And in 2012, what I realized was this is what real-world conspiracies look like, right? It doesn't have to be smoking men behind closed doors, right? It's lawyers and politicians. It's ordinary people from the working level to the management level who go, if we don't explain this in a certain way, we're all going to lose our jobs. Or the other way, they go, we're going to get something out of this if we all work together. Civilization is the history of conspiracy, right? What is civilization but a conspiracy for all of us to do better by working together, right? But it's this kind of thing that I think too often we forget because it's boring as hell. I want all your listeners, right, to go to the Washington Post, because this document that I discovered that really changed me has been published, courtesy of the Washington Post. It's called the Inspector General's Report on Stellar Wind. And you can look at the actual document that I saw that was unredacted, right? I had no blacked out pages on mine. And what I believe it shows is that some of the most senior officials in the United States, elected and unelected, worked together to actively undermine the rights of the American people to give themselves expanded powers. Now, in their defense, they said they were seeking these powers for a good and just and noble cause, right? They say they were trying to keep us safe. But that's what they always say. That's what every government says. That's no different than what the Chinese government says or the Russian government says. And the question is, if they are truly keeping us safe, why wouldn't they simply just tell us that? Why wouldn't they have that debate in Congress? Why wouldn't they put that to a vote? Because if they were, and they could convince us that they were, they'd win the vote. And particularly, we all know, like the Patriot Act passed, one of the worst pieces of legislation in modern history passed. Why didn't we get a vote? And I think if you read the report, the answer will be clear.